And the president-elect vowing to keep TikTok online as the app works to restore service here in the United States. Joining us now on NewsNation Now to talk more about this huge news is social media influencer and co-host of the Build Your Tribe podcast, Brock Johnson. Great to see you, Brock.
Thank you so much for having me.
So TikTok restoring its service is happening just as I was getting on the air. What's the reaction been like on social media so far?
It has been a chaotic 24 to 48 hours. So much news around Meta and TikTok. Seems like people are generally pretty happy that they're getting back to TikTok, but it's definitely been a chaotic news cycle.
Well, before the ban, this federal ban, people started fleeing TikTok in the first place for alternative platforms like Red Note and Lemonade. Why do you think people are favoring these Chinese-backed apps rather than American mainstays like the one I enjoy, Instagram or Facebook?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's an active protest and it's a decision by these TikTok users to embrace an app that is even more foreign and even more Chinese owned, whether they don't believe that TikTok is influenced by the CCP or they just don't care. They are now actively choosing to go to the most Chinese or the most foreign apps possible as a way to kind of rebel against this decision from the US government.
What do you make of China not even having TikTok available in their app stores?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot that can be pulled out from that. I think that a lot of people don't even realize that China doesn't have access to the same TikTok that we have. And so I think that the misconceptions that were put in place around TikTok 3-4 years ago are still holding firm today. And it's causing a lot of confusion around TikTok and who influences the algorithms and what goes on the platform.
Yeah, and look, a lot of this, of course, is over the national security concerns associated with this Chinese-backed app and the ability of the Chinese government to get a hold of that data, but also to use its incredible algorithm to twist the minds of not just our youth. We always say that it's the youth, but there's 180 million Americans on TikTok. They're not all 14-year-olds doing dances and lip syncing. But what about the brain rot that kind of goes along with this and our attention spans getting shorter? TikTok is kind of the main culprit, isn't it? I mean, the other platforms have followed, but TikTok got it rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no app or platform that's more addicting than TikTok. Some people point at that as TikTok's strong suit and why TikTok should be kept around because it is so addicting and it's so enjoyable. The amount of dopamine that people are getting on a endless 3-second repeating cycle is crazy. And it's really interesting to see how even in the last 24 hours or even the last 12 hours as TikTok wasn't available, people were quickly finding themselves bored on the other social networks, which they in and of themselves are also addicting. So I think, yeah, the power of the TikTok algorithm, its ability to serve you content, to keep you sitting there and scrolling for longer is quite scary.
Well, we spoke with social media strategist Kenya Kelly earlier this week about all this. I know you've had her on your program as well, on your podcast. She says platforms like Red Note are rolling out the red carpet for content creators looking to monetize. Let's listen to Kenya. I'll let you react.
The owner of Red Note has already come to the platform welcoming us and telling us what to expect. We're not able to monetize on Red Note yet, but I think that because millions of us have come over there, I think that they're scurrying to figure out how they can start to pay creators. I think Red Note is actually having a TikTok moment. We all ran to TikTok in 2020, and now we're all running to Red Note in 2025.
And kind of the wild thing, until last week, most of the app was just in Mandarin and people were downloading it even if they couldn't figure out exactly what was, written in the content and written in the captions and all of that. But my question to you about this Red Note and Lemonade, like, are those just kind of like stories of yesterday now that TikTok is back, or will folks continue supporting those apps as well?
Yeah, I ultimately feel that there's a rapid arms race with all of these new apps, but ultimately I think most of them are just a flash in the pan. I think that even if TikTok was completely banned, I think that a platform like Instagram or YouTube would win in the long run. But now that TikTok is back, I think people are going to head right back to TikTok, or they're going to stick with a Meta platform or YouTube or even Twitter/X rather than flocking, and sticking with one of these new platforms like Lemonade or Red Note.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.